TQI Tuesday!
Welcome to the very first TQI Tuesday, a weekly series every Tuesday where I talk about anything. Today we're talking about Forsaken. Big surprise, I know. In all seriousness, I have quite a few thoughts about Forsaken I'd like to share, so let's just get into it. Forsaken is obviously a very successful game. It gets hundreds of thousands of concurrent players at almost every minute of the day. It averages what some games never even see at their peak. But there's lots of nuance to how I personally feel about the state of Forsaken, and I bet a lot of you guys feel that way too. Let me tell you about myself a bit to make it easier to explain. Growing up, I never really had any good devices. I actually remember my very first laptop, which was an Asus detachable 2-in-1 touchscreen laptop. Ugh, what a mouthful. It was tiny, literally the size of a small tablet. And even though it was kinda cool, it literally only had like 2 gigs of RAM and just terrible specs. It was so bad that my friends laughed at me when I brought it to school one time. Point is, when it came to games, I could really only play Roblox. Luckily, Roblox had a lot of genres of games, unlike today, that I could actually play on my potato laptop. First-person shooters, dungeon crawlers, anime battlers, sandboxes, all of those genres had front-page games on Roblox. But when I discovered Flee the Facility, the premier asymmetrical horror game on Roblox at the time, I was hooked. I mean, I played with my brothers for days. We were literally screaming at the top of our lungs during every chase. We'd laugh about it so much that my stomach would hurt from laughing. But as all games do, it got a bit old. Particularly, Flee the Facility suffered from getting no real updates, just some skins for stuff like the Beast Hammer and whatever. And as time went on, I really never got back into any asymmetrical horror games. I still didn't have a good enough device for games like Dead by Daylight, and all of my friends were way more into shooters like Counter-Strike and Fortnite, or other games like Minecraft. There was even a point where I thought I was never going to play Roblox again, because I felt like it was continuously devolving into a childish slop hellhole. And honestly, I don't think I was far off. But there were gems here and there that kept me on the platform, such as Camping, The Mimic, Isle. These were some innovative games that really felt like a shining light on a platform that seems to reward copy and paste lifeless cash grabs. But these were mostly one-time experiences that weren't as fun to replay once you experienced the gameplay for the first time. But just when all seemed hopeless for Roblox, TikTok arrived on the scene. And for as much bad as TikTok brought with it, it did help some games expand their reach and basically gave them a more serious chance to find success. One such game was Pillar Chase 2, a game that was relatively unknown for a while before it got a huge surge of players thanks to TikTok. And just like that, I was hooked again. Playing with my brothers, avoiding the huge stomping MX or the shapeshifting Owl Oni, it felt like I was playing Flee the Facility again for the first time. I started to realize how much I enjoy asymmetrical horror games, and I wanted more. That's when I found Forsaken. The ambiance, sound design, and animations kept me more immersed than any other asymmetrical horror game on Roblox. What really stood out to me was how strategic survivors could be thanks to abilities and strategies. It always felt like the other games were almost entirely about running away and hiding, whereas this game felt like there were so many more options and playstyles. And now, with hundreds of hours on Forsaken, I believe that as far as the gameplay goes, Forsaken is the complete opposite of a failure. But here's where things get muddled for me. When I'm really into a game, I love checking out content about it. And it works both ways. I'll play games that were inspired by shows or movies I enjoyed. What bothers me about Forsaken is the culture that the fandom has cultivated. I'm not even talking about cringy animations or lore videos, because when I was younger, I was into some real cringe, so I understand that what might seem cringe to me, some people might enjoy. It's a harmless preference. But the issue revolves around degeneracy. Things like spawnism, shipping, sexualization of characters. I mean, at the end of the day, Forsaken is a game that is mostly played by children. Yet somehow, there's such a large subgroup of people in the Forsaken community that not only consume this degenerate content, but produce more of it themselves. I even tried to make a video where I react to Forsaken TikToks, but they were so explicit and disgusting that I scrapped it entirely. These same TikToks are what innocent children would stumble across if they just wanted to see some Forsaken related content. What saddens me the most is that I know that many children have already been influenced by degenerate content, especially with the fact that something like spawnism was able to amass even a small following. It's so predatory to twist a game that kids love in such a way that attempts to take advantage of their naivety, and it's all only possible because Forsaken exists. So, with all that said, you might think it's more reasonable to consider Forsaken to be a failure, specifically in terms of its community. But there's one crucial question left to ask ourselves. Whose fault is it for this degeneracy? My dilemma is that I don't have a good answer. Is it the people behind Forsaken or the people who play Forsaken? After all, Forsaken wouldn't have been influential if no one really played it. There would be no influence to weaponize. Perhaps it's the platforms like TikTok that allow degenerate content to spread. Or what about the disgusting bad actors like Soul-Driven Love or the ringleaders of Spawnism? But then where do you draw the line between people who have been groomed into partaking in it and people who planted those seeds of degeneracy to begin with? What scares me the most is that my very own content may have caused some innocent kid to fall into the dark rabbit hole of Forsaken content, exposing them to horrible things. So in a sense, some part of me feels like Forsaken is a failure in the regard that it has a parasitic faction of degenerates that continuously plague the game. But even with all of that, I don't think Forsaken is a lost cause by any means. For every twisted piece of content that makes me feel like distancing myself from the game, there's still that feeling I had when I first played Flee the Facility with my brothers. Nerves during a chase, the satisfaction of a working strategy, those are all unaffected by the depraved part of the community. At the end of the day, the reason I still play Forsaken is because I love the game itself. I love the gameplay that it offers and those moments you have with your friends that you'll talk about for days. And I have faith that most of us feel the same way. I think most of us enjoy Forsaken for what it is, not for the weird shippers, attention seekers, or creeps, just the game as it was intended to be. I've met so many good people in Forsaken. Randoms who became friends, teammates who spread positivity whether they won or lost. Even during quiet moments, doing generators alone and appreciating all the detail put into the game, it's clear to me that Forsaken, at its core, is something worthy of its popularity. So no, I don't think Forsaken is a failure. I think it's best described as a success under siege, even with all the dramas like the leak about Soul-Driven Love's 25% revenue cut. It's always really been about holding out against malicious people who just want to milk the game of whatever they're looking for, whether that be money or people to manipulate. There's a great video I watched explaining that situation specifically, and I recommend that you guys watch it. You can find it in the description. But just remember to always be honest and authentic, and do what you think is right. That might not fix everything, but it's something. I hope you guys enjoyed this first episode of TQI Tuesday. Today's topic was quite serious, but rest assured that these topics can be as lighthearted as you want. So let me know what you think that I should do with this series in the comments, and feel free to share your own opinions about what I discussed in this video. Like and subscribe if you like my content, and thank you for watching. Also, completely off topic, but I don't know how the hell this website is charging $329 for that laptop I had. I mean, this has 2 GB of RAM, it says it right there. It only has 32 GB of storage. You can't even download Fortnite.